What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again with some more Week 1 NFL DFS talk for the main slate we got going on here on Sunday. So I'm going to be going through this video, GPP guys that target some tournament action where you're trying to place at the top. You want to have some guys that are lower owned and just have humongous upside of their matchup. So that's what we're going to be going over. So if you're playing some tournaments or just thinking about it, definitely hear me out with these plays. I'll go through why I love these guys and their matchups and stuff like that. And yeah, so be sure to drop a like in the video before we get going if you want to see more of these videos every single week. My first video that I upload earlier in the week is a little bit more cash game based because I don't want to go out on a limb with guys that might just lay an egg and be like really bad because they're a little bit more risky. I want to have guys that are safe and tremendous matchups that other people might be on, but just want to get you guys thinking about those people. So this will be later on in the week. I'll upload on around Friday or maybe Thursday as we get a better idea of the ownership and where people are kind of gravitating to, and the injury report kind of comes in more. I'll be uploading this on Friday. So like I said, be sure to leave a like if you want to see more of this, and hit that subscribe button if you want to get both my NFL DraftKings picks, which is more cash game based earlier in the week, and then this video every single Thursday or Friday for some GPP. I'm going to call it tournament talk, talking you through tournament plays. So yeah, we got 3 players at every position again here in this video. So let's just get into it. First guy up at 5,500. I'm going to go down here to Dak Prescott here. He is absolutely abysmal to end the year. Was really struggling with some disappointing outings here and there, but he still has it upside because he can get the rushing yards, he can run in a touchdown, and this is a good matchup, I think, for DFS purposes. I think they're going to lean more on the pass game here because Carolina, they have one of the best rushing defenses, which will force them into a more passing narrative here, meaning Dak Prescott with the target guys like Michael Gallup and Allen Hurns a bit more, and even Cole Beasley. So going against Carolina, they allowed the 4th most passing yards out of any team in the NFL last year, and he's only going to be like a 1 or 2% guy for ownership's sake, I think, here. That's what I'm seeing based on my research. So I think Dak Prescott is a great guy to target, has the upside to get it done here. In this matchup against Carolina, I think Zeke will be limited more than maybe people are kind of led on to believe. You got Travis Frederick out, who's a really good center, which kind of is a loss in the run game. So Dak Prescott, some quicker passes to Allen Hurns, who we'll mention a little bit later. So I like him as my first quarterback. And for my second guy, I mentioned this guy in my other video, but Case Keenum again here, going against Seattle. This is a much worse defense. Like I mentioned earlier in the week, they don't have Richard Sherman anymore. Michael Bennett's gone. Cam Chancellor retired. Cliff Averill is gone, and KJ Wright is going to be out for this game as well. He's injured. And Earl Thomas, he did report the other day, but he still might not play. They haven't decided yet. And even if he does play, I would imagine he wouldn't get 100% of the snaps. So I think Case Keenum in this passing attack can really take advantage of this matchup against a Seattle defense that is underexperienced and really kind of get those matchups working. Like Emmanuel Sanders, he's going to be pretty chalky, but people are overlooking Case Keenum. It's going to be Keenum throwing it to Sanders, and even Cortland Sutton and Demaryius Thomas can get open against these defenders. So I can see Keenum really taking advantage of the Seattle defense. And also, Seattle hasn't been practicing at all in the elevation, so they could get a little bit tired on defense. So Keenum in the passing attack could go a little bit more fast-paced, tire him out a little bit more, and this passing game can really show off some good upside. Not crazy upside, but still a guy that's going to be low owned at a cheap price tag of $5,100 is definitely on my radar. And for my third and final guy, I'm going to go with Marcus Mariota here, going against a really bad defense against Miami, another team that has one of the worst pass coverage units in the whole entire NFL. So Mariota here, another guy similar to Dak that does have rushing ability. He was hurt like most of the year last year. Like in these beginning games, he wasn't able to rush that much, or more in the middle of the season where he was dealing with an ankle injury, I believe. But towards the end of the year, we finally saw him rushing the ball a bit more as he kind of shook off the injury. We saw him get 37, 46, 60 yards rushing, and that's that's pretty much a touchdown on top of his total with that rushing ability in there. And also Corey Davis, he's a year older. He's going to be more experienced, I think, and ready to go more. And they do have 2 players now in Dion Lewis and Delaney Walker that really have good matchups, as in the Dolphins really struggled stopping tight ends last year. And also Kiko Alonso was one of the worst, actually the worst linebacker in coverage. So Dion Lewis can definitely get some checkdowns against Kiko Alonso and rack up some catches. So I think Mariota could get around like 250 passing yards, maybe get 2 or 3 passing touchdowns, and then get some rushing yards on top of that. So a really good matchup here. Mariota, tough year last year, but I think he can bounce back here in this Week 1 matchup against Miami, one of the worst defenses in all of football. So I love him as my final guy for the quarterback. So you got Mariota, Case Keenum, and Dak Prescott as your GPP guys. And for my running backs now, David Johnson is my first one at 8,800. This is mainly because Alvin Kamara is going to be very highly owned. His ownership is projected at around like 30 to 35%. So David Johnson, the next guy up here, I think, who has probably the highest upside along with Kamara for just the highest total of any running back on the slate. He can easily get like 30 touches. He does have that upside. He averaged 5 catches a game in 2016 when he was just an absolute workhorse. So he can definitely get a ton of touches here, and he's going to be on the field like almost every single snap. And another thing here is that on this Cardinals offense, there's really no proven receiver option outside of Larry Fitzgerald. So that's really going to get David Johnson even more active in the passing game here. And in the full point PPR setting, that is DraftKings, he can easily get you like 10 to 15 DraftKings points just in the receiving game. So against Washington here, not a bad matchup, but David Johnson really is matchup proof with just his workload, and he can score from anywhere in the field. He's just one of the best running backs in all football. So 8,800, definitely a good option in GPP with Alvin Kamara garnering so much ownership. And for my second guy, I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt here at 6,900, going against the Chargers. The Chargers' run defense was really bad last year, and this is similar to kind of how I explained why I like Dak Prescott. The Chargers' pass defense is one of the best in the NFL. They have really good cornerbacks with Casey Hayward. Their second cornerback, I think, is Trevor Williams. I'm not sure I kind of forgot his name, but their safety play is really good. And they did get Derwin James, I think was one of the best rookie guys coming out this year, and they got him for his safety help. So this defense is loaded in the secondary. But with their run defense, it's really weak, and Kareem Hunt went absolutely off against his rushing defense last year. He went 24 for 155 on the ground, and he got 42 DraftKings points in that game, Week 15. And then earlier on in the year, in Week 3, he went 17 for 172 rushing the ball, good for 28 DraftKings points. So he pretty much had his best rushing games both of the times he faced the Chargers. So I think he can have another huge game against them, and this Chiefs offense is going to be really electric. So with the threat of Mahomes rushing the ball as well, Kareem Hunt can really have some big games here, and I think this one is coming especially against the Chargers. And he's being overlooked because McCaffrey is garnering a lot of ownership. So at 6,900, Kareem Hunt is a guy that can have a huge game as my second running back. And for my third guy, it's actually going to be the 2 running backs for the Titans, Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry here. So this is kind of like game script dependent, as I think they're going to be similar to how DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry were used. Like Dion Lewis is going to be used a lot if they're kind of tied in the game or so, or down by like a touchdown or even 10 points. Dion Lewis, I think, will be on the field for the most part. And if they're up by like a touchdown or 10 points, and Derrick Henry is going to be on the field a lot more, just kind of chewing the clock and stuff like that. But like I mentioned in this matchup with Kiko Alonso, he allowed the most yards in coverage out of any linebacker last year, which was 200 more yards than the next linebacker. So Dion Lewis could get like maybe 6 for like 50 yards in the receiving game. He has that ability. And like I said with Mariota, you could pair him up there, as I think he's going to be checking down Lewis a lot. And if the Titans get down, like I said, Dion Lewis, he's going to have a huge game. So you can put ownership in Dion Lewis and then some in Derrick Henry, so you kind of have that upside on both sides of the game script. So Dion Lewis, Derrick Henry, like I mentioned, both those guys, I think one of them are going to pop off for a big week, and they're pretty cheap, with Derrick Henry being $5,400 and Lewis at $4,900. And I think one of those guys could go for over 20 DraftKings points. So a good option, and they're both projected to be really low owned, probably because like no one really has that clarity yet in the backfield, but you can take advantage of that by going with one of them, even 2 of them, in your ownerships and your GPP lineup. So now for wide receiver, I'm going to go with Allen Hurns as my first guy at 4,700. Another situation here where we're not sure how the Dallas passing corps is really going to shake out. We got Allen Hurns, new to the offense, and Michael Gallup. But like I mentioned with this matchup against Carolina. Their running defense is really good, so that's going to make them throw the ball a bit more. And with Travis Frederick out, it's going to be some more quicker stuff, I think, over the middle to a guy like Allen Hurns. So he'll probably be in the slot or in the outside running some shorter route patterns. And Michael Gallup will be more the guy running the deeper routes, those like post patterns and the stuff that Dez was kind of running. So I think Allen Hurns could be like a 6 for like 80 guy like he did against the Patriots in his last week with the Chargers. Just be a move the chains guy, and you love to see that for PPR. And he's based on the wide receiver cornerback matchups. He's expected to be matched up on James Bradbury, who was actually really bad in coverage last year. So it can be a good matchup if he's matched up on Bradbury. And I did mention they allowed the 4th most passing yards to quarterbacks last year. The Panthers did. So Allen Hurns, I think, will be the #1 guy, especially week 1. With Travis Frederick out, the pass protection won't be able to hold up as much. And Gallup, it's going to be his first game. We saw Calvin Ridley didn't do anything in his first game. The rookies can be slow to get out the gate, so I think Allen Hurns will be the guy week 1. So a really good target as my first wide receiver. And next up, we're going to go with Tyler Lockett. With Doug Baldwin, really tough matchup against Chris Harris. It's like the best slot wide receiver against probably the best slot cornerback. So I think they're going to be fighting a lot here and kind of cancel each other out. So I think that will make Tyler Lockett a bigger target in this offense, and they actually did sign him to a huge contract just recently the other week. 3 years, $31 million. So I think if you're signing him to that much money, you got to be part of your plans, at least a decent amount. And he's actually not even on the injury report this year. That's been a big thing with him, is that he hasn't been really 100% healthy over the last year or so. So with him having a clean slate of health in this matchup against Denver, with Doug Baldwin being held down by Chris Harris, I think Tyler Lockett could have one of his biggest games of the year and see around 10, maybe 8 to 10 targets in this game and get you like 6 for like maybe 60 and has an outside shot at getting the touchdown as well. So a 4,300, a guy that can easily be overlooked. Really good matchup there for Tyler Lockett. And for my final guy, I mentioned this guy in my first video, but Jarvis Landry, again here at 5,500. He can definitely be lower owned because there is some big weather concerns with the rain and like some 20-mile-an-hour winds or so here in Cleveland, but they're going to have to throw the ball at least a little bit here. And Tyrod Taylor seemed to have great chemistry with Jarvis Landry out of every receiving option in the preseason. So I think he's going to be looking Jarvis Landry's way a lot when they do pass the ball. So some like more check down over the middle stuff, and that won't really affect, or at least the wind won't really affect like the 10-yard passes as much. It's just going to limit their deep field passing. So I think Jarvis Landry is going to be a huge reception monster in this game. And like I mentioned, Ryan Shazier, he's gone for this Pittsburgh defense. That was a huge presence in the middle of the field. So Jarvis Landry can make some quick work over the middle here and have like an 8 for like 100 game. And he's been dominant against his Pittsburgh zone defense in the past when he was on Miami. A really good receiver against zone kind of coverages that you can really find the middle of the field, those kind of leaking areas of the zone, and really just sit home, catch a lot of passes here. So 5,500, the weather concerns for Jarvis Landry, it's going to really work in your favor, I think, here in GPP. So you definitely want to target him as well. So that's the 3 wide receivers, Landry, Lockett, and Hurns. And now for tight end, got to move to my next page of notes. But Eric Ebron, I mentioned him in my first video as well, but I think he has big upside in this matchup against the Bengals. We saw Jack Doyle have a huge game against them last year, but I think Ebron is going to be used a lot more than people think this year. I think Frank Reich, the head coach of the Colts, really wants to use him. He's been raving about him all offseason, and he just loves to utilize the tight ends as like weapons, like he did with Zach Ertz on the Eagles. He was the OC for the Eagles last year, and they're going to be using a lot of 2 tight end sets, I think, in this game, because William Jackson, the cornerback for the Bengals, is a really good matchup for T.Y. Hilton, a really fast guy. He limited him a lot for like 2 catches in their matchup last year. So I think Ebron and even Jack Doyle probably have a solid game, but Ebron, I think, is the preferred option in the red zone, a really athletic guy that can go up and get the ball. So I think he can have like a 5 for 60 and maybe a touchdown in this game. So it really gives you some good high upside in GPP, and he's probably going to be overlooked, probably around 5% ownership. So a 3,300, really good play there as my first tight end. For a second guy up, I don't think this guy's going to be on anyone's radar, but Virgil Green here at 2,700. They did just sign Antonio Gates. So the thing here with Gates is that he might not even play in this Week 1 matchup. And if he does, they're saying he's not going to play much at all. He's going to be on a snap count. So I would expect Gates to be like around 15 snaps or so. So Virgil Green will be kind of in that Hunter Henry role with Antonio Gates out. He'll be getting most of the snaps, and this Chargers offense has implied a lot of points, 25.75 implied points, and Eric Berry is going to be out of this matchup, out of this game, so that's a huge plus for a guy like Virgil Green that can really get some good, clean opportunities over the middle of the field. We know that Phillip Rivers loves to target the tight ends in the red zone, so I think Virgil Green could be just like a guy that breaks the slate if he does like a 5 for like 35 and a touchdown, maybe even 2 touchdowns, and he's at 2,700. Really allows you the opportunity to pay up at every other position. So could definitely give you like a goose egg, but he also could give you like 12 DraftKings points, and no one's going to be owning this guy. So really a guy to consider if you want to be completely off the wall for your tight end. For my third and final guy, Tyler Eifert at 3,400. We know that injuries is always a concern for Tyler Eifert, but when the guy's healthy, he's getting some good opportunities here. He always is getting targets in the red zone. In 2016, his most recent season were actually played, like in 2017, he played 2 games, like 1.5 games or something like that. But in 2016, in 8 games, the guy got 11 red zone targets, so more than 1 red zone target a game. And then in 2015, he got 16 red zone targets in 13 games, more than 1 red zone target a game. So the guy's definitely utilizing the red zone, so he can give you that big upside that you want from tight ends. Like if a tight end scores a touchdown, he's going to be pretty much a top 10 tight end of the week. So with Eifert, another cheap guy here at 3,400, he has the upside for some big games. And the Colts actually were targeted the second most against tight ends in the red zone. So when teams were getting down into the red zone area, they were using their tight ends a lot. So coaches definitely saw a weakness in their defense down there. So I think Tyler Eifert can definitely give you some good upside at 3,400. So that's my final guy tight end. So you got Eifert, Ebron, Virgil Green. And now for defense, I'm going to kind of breeze through this, but the Bengals defense first up, going against the Colts. I did mention that I like Eric Ebron, but I'm really worried about Andrew Luck, his protection in this game against a really good Bengals front 7. They can really get after the quarterback. I think they can get around like 3, maybe 4 sacks in this game, and that's really what like the safest way to attack fantasy points and DraftKings and just anything DFS. You really want to go after the sacks and maybe even the picks, because Andrew Luck is a guy that can turn the ball over, even fumbles. So I think the Bengals could be a great unit here, and that's going to be overlooked, under-owned. So that's my first defense. And for my second one, I think the Cowboys are kind of being overlooked here in this matchup at a really cheap price tag at 2,300. Carolina's right tackle, their best best lineman on the team, Darrell Williams, is not going to be playing here on this game, and the Cowboys pass rush is really good. Lawrence can really get after the quarterback, so I think he can honestly get like a sack or 2 in this matchup, and you're getting him at a wicked cheap price at 2,300, and their ownership is not going to be high at all, so I think they could be overlooked and a great GPP option. And for my final defense, the Saints defense isn't expected to get that much ownership here going against Tampa Bay. For whatever reason, even though they're one of the best defenses in all football, they can get some picks off Fitzpatrick, as we saw here. They picked him off 3 times in Week 17. At least I think that was Fitzpatrick. And they got 2 sacks. We know that Fitzpatrick likes to force the ball. Gets picked off a lot. The offensive line isn't great for Tampa Bay, and the Saints have one of the best pass rushers in Cameron Jordan. He can really get after the quarterback, so they have a lot of ability to get turnovers. Going to be up big in this game, so when teams get down like Tampa Bay will be in this game, they have a greater shot of turning the ball over with picks and sacks. So I like the Saints here at 3,600, kind of being under-owned, even though they're in a great spot. So that is it for all the plays. You got your quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and defense is the target in GPP. That's your tournament talk for the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to drop a like before you head out if you did, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to get this tournament GPP plays and just talk through every single week, and also my regular DFS plays for kind of the cash game side of things more, and my main kind of focal point on the slate. But that is it. Good luck on this 12-game slate. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. Kick back, relax, watch some great football action, and we'll see you back here again next time.